We're talking unpopular opinions with the PHNX Suns. End of show. They're going to be good. Psychos and sickos unite for Hump Day edition of PHNX Suns, coming to you live from Studio A. We went from 4 hosts on yesterday's show to just 2 today. I'm Eric Ruby. That is Gerald Borgay. We got Old Mangle Toes, a.k.a. Juice Man, a.k.a. Freckled Mamba, a.k.a. We Need You to Drop 30 tonight in Men's League. Ayrton behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. We got Sean, Eric, and Leo in the chat already. Packed show for you today. If you missed yesterday's show with Nigel Hayes Davis, one of my favorite conversations I've ever had about basketball, period. One of the best interviews I feel like, we've ever done as a show. And I'm still kind of like, wow, what a day yesterday was for PHNX Suns.
Yeah, it was. And I'm lucky because I get to ask these guys questions on a regular basis, but you rarely get to go that in depth with somebody and like really pick their brain for 30 minutes about basketball, about their career, their journey, their fit with the team, all that good stuff, more personal stuff too. So that was really enjoyable. We've been fortunate enough to have some players on the program throughout the years. And even for me, who's been here for 4 years now, that was one of my favorites as well.
Leo says yesterday was the show of the year.
I appreciate that, Leo. I'm glad you enjoyed it too.
Not just for the interview though. We got Steven to go,
wow.
And then he quit. That's why he's not here today.
Right.
No, Steven is on a much deserved vacation as he gears up for the WNBA playoffs and of course the NBA season coming up. So he hopefully is able to relax and unwind while we talk about some unpopular opinions with the PHNX Suns. Talk to Valley Suns head coach Paul Jesperson, also of March Madness fame as well, which we can touch on a little bit later in the show. And then Adam Silver's being really damn stupid, and I'd like to talk about that. So we're going to do that at the end of the show. But of course, housekeeping first. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. 5-star reviews on audio go a long way in supporting this program and as well as becoming a member on YouTube. We had a couple join yesterday. You can unlock all new emojis to spam in the chat on the $5 level. Get a highlighted name in the chat, a badge next to your name. You also get a prepaid super chat every month. So it's basically like you're paying for one super chat and you're getting all this other stuff. Plus, there is a $15 a month tier where you're going to get behind the scenes access to vlogs and stuff like that. But of course, it is separate from our diehard. And of course, all the stuff you get from being a diehard, which exclusive content, discounts on all events, free shirt or hat when you sign up, access to all of Gerald's writing over on gophnx.com, even though today's article was unlocked and for everybody.
Oh, no, this one was locked.
Oh, really? Because I didn't log in. I thought it just went right up for me.
Oh, there you
but
go.
It is locked. So suck it. It can become a diehard. Also, I did an impromptu live little AMA conversation with some people yesterday to thank them for supporting us for 4 years over here at PHNX. So all sorts of fun stuff. Hefe says, can't believe I missed the interview yesterday and the 4 years of PHNX. Well, you're here today, Hefe.
Yes, and you can go back and watch that interview. It's definitely worth your time, I will say. He was there for the first 30 minutes or so. And happy belated birthday to Ditty in the chat, who said, you guys really went all out on the show yesterday for my B-Day. Thanks.
Dude,
you're welcome.
You
Ditty.
threw me off so hard.
Let me re-pronunciate Ditty.
Because the thing is, like, I didn't read the chat above Hefe's, and so I didn't see that, and I was just like,
where's he going with this?
I was like, all right, bro. I was like, it is what it is, I guess. Let him cook. Give him the one shot.
D-I-T-T-Y.
Yeah, D-I-T-T-Y. Jeez. Okay.
Where do we go from here?
Unpopular opinions. Do you have anything you want to share with us, Gerald, as far as unpopular opinions go?
Yeah, let's get into it because I did write about this over at Go
good
PHNX.
basketball ones.
Yes,
Okay, good.
basketball ones
good.
only for today's show. We got into it over at gophnx.com. 5 unpopular opinions that I think are important, and some of these we've expressed on the show. I need you to regroup for me.
I'm dying over here. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever been more caught off guard in a show. I really want. Can somebody go back and like just get a screenshot of my face in that and send in the Die Hard Discord when Gerald said that?
That was my bad. I should have enunciated a little bit better on that one. Ditty.
All right, I promise I'm going to behave now. I can't believe we talked to Nigel Hayes Davis literally 24 hours ago.
That was really cool. This show is a mark of professionalism, clearly. Damn, good thing it's the off season, huh? Yep. But yeah, over at gophnx.com, this article was for diehards only. I went through 5 unpopular opinions because I do think there are some things about this team that are not being talked about enough, and maybe it's just because we're too early in the season. Or the off season. Maybe it's just because people don't want to accept some of these things. These are more so predictions than anything else, but I do think you're going to see a lot of these come to fruition. So we're going to go through a couple of them. We're going to go through a couple of extra ones that we came up with outside of the article. We don't want to give away the full article. But I think we should probably start with Devin Booker, as always.
I mean, it seems pretty fitting for talking about the Phoenix Suns. So where do you want to go with Devin Booker, Gerald? What is the unpopular opinion that we're starting off with?
So unpopular opinion number 1, point book is not going anywhere, and it needs to continue to be a thing for this upcoming season. I know that John Gambadoro earlier in the offseason tweeted that he expects Jalen Green to function as the Suns' point guard. We've talked a little bit about that. We are kind of the opinion that that's okay if being the point guard means getting the ball across half court as the ball handler and initiating the offense quickly and letting Devin Booker make the majority of the actual playmaking decisions in the half court, because you want to play with tempo. We've seen the Suns opponents do this to Chris Paul in the past, where they wear him down by zigzagging him to half court. If Devin Booker is the point guard full time, they're going to do the exact same thing to him. They're going to hit him with double teams at half court and make anybody else beat them. So it's going to be important that they mix up on ball and off ball, but Devin Booker is a far superior playmaker compared to Jalen Green. And we have the stat graphic that we've showed you a couple of times on this show over the weeks. But if you compare Jalen Green's playmaking and Devin Booker's playmaking, it's not close. And this is not to disparage Green, because if you look at his numbers, they're not terrible. That's like second or third best in the league. If you on his particular team, if you look at there's 30 teams in the league, he's around 55 to 70th in most of these categories. But Devin Booker 11th in assists per game, Jalen Green 71st. Devin Booker first in secondary assists per game, Jalen Green 55th. Devin Booker first in total 3-point assists, Jalen Green 78th. Booker 8th in total assist points created, Green 66th. Book 8th in total potential assists, Green 62nd. For all the consternation about point Book, he is very good about getting the ball where it needs to be and setting up his teammates for success.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, this isn't an unpopular opinion, even though I know some people hear the term point book and they get like a little PTSD from it. I will say, though, to give Jalen just a little bit of listen, Steven's not here, so let me bring a little bit more context here. When you look at those numbers, the 70th, the 50s, the 60s, you also have to understand there was not a single team in the NBA last year that passed the ball less than the Houston Rockets.
Correct.
They were the worst ball movement team, not in the West, not out of all the good teams, in the National Basketball Association, what Adam Silver deems a highlight league. So you have to imagine that those numbers in a context, hopefully in Jordan Ott's system, that's going to emphasize some more ball movement and have him passing the ball more so than he was before, considering he was a primary offensive option, and B, Ime Udoka's offense was not one that was predicated on ball movement.
Sure.
You got to realistically expect those numbers just out of sheer quantity of passes are going to go up. And then you're talking about, okay, maybe you're in like the 40s or the 30s, right? And that could still be better, but still not Devin Booker.
Correct.
Right? Like Jalen Green can improve as a passer, be serviceable as a point guard in certain sections. Devin Booker should play off ball in certain times, but more often than not, your offense has to start with Devin Booker when he is on the floor out of necessity, but also it's gonna be more fun. Devin Booker is a really good passer, and it's also something that he's improved on year to year. He is still not, I don't think, peaked as a passer. So I think that combined with Jordan Ott working on him with the double teams like Nigel Hayes Davis talked about before, and kind of limiting those turnovers as well. To me, this is a no-brainer, but I do understand that there are some people who see that term and go, Not for me. No, thank you.
Right. It's one of those terms that people just kind of hear it and they naturally recoil. They already have their opinions made up about it. But whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it point Book or Book being the lead playmaker or whatever, you want the ball in the hands of your best advantage creator, your best creator. Devin Booker is a more efficient scorer than Jalen Green. He's a more efficient passer than Jalen Green. He's the guy that you want to have the ball in his hands the majority of the time. Not all the time, because like we said, he's going to get hit with a bunch of doubles. We'll talk about that in a second. And you want to put him in positions off ball to where he can just catch an attack and make his life easier too. But you look around the league, like everybody always talks about, well, he was at his best when he played with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a once-in-a-lifetime floor general, the type that doesn't really...
point guard.
Right, he is the point guard that you think of when you think of point guards. How many of those still exist in the league that do it to that degree? You could probably count on one handful the number of guys that are in that same vein.
Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, right. Trey Young can pass really well, but he's not like he's still a score first guy, even though he leads the league in assists. Yep.
Like you're running out. That's a dying breed in the NBA.
I mean, Chris Paul's still around. But
Chris Paul is still technically
around. But he's
around,
not 2021 Chris Paul.
But he's 40, whatever he is now. So
I think in vegan years, he's 33.
In vegan years. Yeah. In vegan years, that guy's 25. But yeah. So for those of you who are adamantly opposed to point Book, I genuinely don't understand why. I know that you want to get Book off the ball and let him just be in kill mode and all this stuff, but he genuinely makes his team and the offense better when he has the ball in his hands and can decide what to do with it. But this kind of bleeds into our next unpopular opinion, and that is that Devin Booker, it's not even an unpopular opinion, more the hard truth that he's going to be double teamed into oblivion this year.
He is already garnered, and this is with some of the talent like a Chris Paul, like a Kevin Durant, like a Bradley Beal, that have been on his team. He has so garnered some of the most ridiculous double teams I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like literal double teams off of tip-off, double teams picking him up 94 feet across the court. This is a guy that demands such an incredible amount of attention for what some people consider not a top 20 player in the league, which I think is ridiculous. He is going to be double teamed a ton. And even though it's a hard truth, I do feel better about it, like I just mentioned, though, because Jordan Knott's like, man, we got to find a way to get Book a release valve when he's getting blitzed, because one thing we do know, and we have a stat graphic here about Booker and double teams, is that not only does he get doubled a lot, but like he also passes out of double teams a lot.
He does, and that's going to be something that he's going to have to adjust to too. It's not just about the spacing around him and how Ott provides release valves out of those double teams. But if you look at the numbers from last year, he was double teamed 5th most in the NBA out of all 450 plus players. He was the most double teamed guard in the NBA. The 4 guys ahead of him were all big men who, if you think about it, bigs get double teamed in the post a lot more. He was first in the NBA in secondary assists, which is a pretty good measure of how the ball moves outside of double teams. It's not the sole measure, but it helps indicate that, yeah, this guy gets off the ball and his teammates do a good job of swinging it where it needs to go to attack those advantages and create easy buckets. 3rd in assist percentage among the top 10 most double team players, 5th in turnover percentage among that top 10, 10th in shot percentage among that top 10. Yeah. And he was 10 full percentage points in that shot percentage, lower than number 9, who was Julius Randle. That's where he's got to change.
Well, it's got to change because then like defenses are going to know what you have to do, especially when you're going to play a defense like OKC, who's like, okay, we're going to send Lugan Store and Isaiah Joe at you. But now I know that Jalen Williams, you're like, okay, you're not going to shoot it.
Right.
I mean, you might, but reality is you're probably going to be looking for Grayson Allen on the wing. So I'm going to sag off a bit. You're going to make that pass. I'm going to jump the lane and I got a fast break.
Yeah.
Right. Like there are certain things that when you default to something, and Devin Booker always kind of defaults to making the right basketball play, like that's great and all, and I'd prefer my players to do that, but when you're a star, sometimes you got to do the dumb basketball play, and that's be the damn star. Right. Take the shot, even if it's a contested one, and you might miss, and maybe it gets to the point where it's like, all right, okay, you're shooting a little too much, like make that pass, but I'll never worry about that with Devin Booker. I think out of all of the seasons that Devin Booker has been double teamed like crazy, for some reason I feel like he might be the best set up to get out of it this year, even though the talent level probably wouldn't be conducive to that. I think the coach is conducive to that. And I think that the players, as far as his passing ability and how he's built upon that, also really goes with that. And there's a lot to talk about with Devin Booker, but I also think that there are some unpopular opinions, and these are some that I came up with as well, that don't have to do Devin Booker or weren't in your article. Maybe I'll write my own article
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll unlock it for all the people, Gerald.
Okay. You need an editor?
Go band for band,
Band
word
for
for word, paragraph for paragraph.
You don't want to go word for
no,
word.
I'll tell you what. I do if it's in this setting.
Oh,
if we go word for word in this setting.
See, the writing skews and then the talking skews.
Home turf, away turf.
They balance out eventually.
Yeah, definitely balance it out. But one of the things that we've been talking about when it comes to Dillon Brooks is the fact that he has been an incredibly improved shooter over his time in the NBA, shooting over 40% from three. I believe over 41% from three last season. I think he shot 41%, or maybe it was 39.
Who's that?
Dillon Brooks.
I think it was 39.7.
Close to 40%. Which is still crazy.
Yes.
39.7% from three from Dillon Brooks. Here's an unpopular opinion of mine that I feel like maybe isn't as like realistic as like, okay, it's going to happen, but it's certainly on the table. What if Dillon Brooks' shooting regresses, right? Like, how big of an impact is going to make for a team that's going to be starting an undersized starting five, with Ryan Dunn presumably there as well, with his shooting questions, right? A non-shooting big man in Mark Williams or Nick Richards, or presumably rookie Kaman Malawach won't have that in his bag yet, or Oso Ighodaro. How much of a difference is it going to make if Dillon Brooks, let's say, dips to like, even like not unsustainable, but like 35% from three?
And it's a concern, and it's something that's definitely on the table, because you look at his career. Yes, last year he shot a career best 39.7%. I think it came on like 6.3 attempts or something like that.
Good amount of attempts.
Good volume, great results out of that. If the three-point shooting doesn't hold up, though, his offensive impact and the Suns' spacing is going to take a hit because of that. Like, I don't think he'll be completely worthless on offense. He's not a player that's just a three-point shooter, spot-up guy, because as we've talked about, his post-up game is actually kind of underrated. He can get to his mid-range. He can shoot off the dribble a little bit in the mid-range. But if the three-point shooting falls off, he's your starting wing. And we already have our concerns about Ryan Dunn in that starting lineup. Mark Williams is a non-shooter. I think he only took like 7 or 8 shots total outside the painted area last year. And Jalen Green, he takes a lot of threes, but I think he's shot a career best like 35, 36% last year. So you need Dillon Brooks' shooting to hold up. The problem is, and the reason for our concern, is that you look at his career in the 7 seasons prior, he only cracked 36% shooting from three in one of those 7 seasons. So historically, he has been a subpar three-point shooter. You're hoping that he carries the momentum of last year, his career shooting year, into this year, that he gets plenty of spot-up looks because that's where he was more efficient. And that he continues to build on what he did last year. If last year was just kind of a one-year aberration, your spacing and your shooting is going to be in a pretty troublesome place.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily totally concerned about it, but is absolutely something I'm keeping my eyes on. I also find it interesting, though, because we talk about it, and it's brought up in the chat from Ted that the Rockets' offense was not good. Ime is a defensive head coach, has more faith in Ott to get his guys good looks.
That's fair.
I do think it's fascinating that a career-best shooting season on efficiency and volume for Dillon Brooks came on the Houston Rockets last year.
Right.
Like, is that not, like, objectively a little bit fascinating to where he might be set up in a better position, the same way we look at a Jalen Green, where it's like, okay, well, you got Devin Booker, who is going to be the best offensive option that I believe you've probably ever played with in your career. You're going to have Jalen Green, who you've been playing with, you have chemistry with, and hopefully he's in a better position, can create gravity as well. Like, you in theory are going to have more wide open shots this year because there was a large lack of shooting on Houston last year. But maybe Brooks is just one of those guys that likes having a hand in his face too. Like, it's kind of weird with him.
Yeah, it could very well be. He could take that as a challenge, but he did get a good number of open threes with the Rockets last year. And I think it was probably because of the lack of respect given his track record as a shooter and the fact that Houston's offense, you had to worry about other threats, and you were probably okay with surrendering a 3 to Dillon Brooks most of the time. But that's part of my concern is I think Jordan Ott will put guys in position to be successful and generate open looks. I think 3-point attempts will be an emphasis for this group, but I also do think that the shooting took a little bit of a hit, which kind of ties into our next unpopular opinion here. And that is, everybody seems to want to trade Grayson Allen and view him as expendable. And I get it. You look at stackable contracts and the fact that the Suns can aggregate outgoing salaries in trades again. Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards, those are the 3 names that are going to keep coming up. And I get it. But like Grayson and Devin Booker are the only two guys on this roster that I look at from a defensive point of view as like they're going to close out hard on these guys and try to take away their shot. The rest of them, they'll close out on Dillon Brooks or Jalen Green or guys like that. They're not going to recklessly abandon everything to make sure that guy doesn't get a clean look off for anybody else outside of those two. And Grayson is coming off your bench. I think his shooting is going to be underratedly important for this team.
I think there's a world where Grayson Allen does end up being a starter on this team. I wouldn't say it's the most likely scenario, because if you maybe are replacing one of Dunn or Brooks in the lineup, you probably want to go with a bigger four. Maybe it's a Rasheer, maybe it's a Nigel, maybe it's Oso if you're going to get real experimental here. That being said, if Grayson Allen can get back to like, I know he had a fine season last year, but I mean like comprehensively, so like defensively, getting, his head down, head full of steam down to the paint, passing the ball like he did 2 years ago versus what he did last year. And of course, a lot of this does hinge on Jordan Ott. We will be doing a Jordan Ott-centric episode, because every single time we talk about a role player or a star player or getting the most out of somebody, it's like, well, if Jordan Ott sets them up to be in the best situation, right? But Grayson Allen's the type of guy where, if you just kind of like let him roam, he can have an impact. He's a good shooter. If you scheme specifically to use that shooting as a weapon to space for Jalen Green and Devin Booker to operate in the mid-range game, or hopefully with Jalen Green in the paint, right? To bring people out of the paint for a Mark Williams or an Oso or a Kaman or a Nick Richards who can't really space that themselves, or just he's open because everybody else is drawing that type of gravity, and you have one of the better spot-up shooters in the NBA shooting relatively wide open threes. He's absolutely a piece that could help with this team. Realistically, though, like, and beyond like the fact that, he's a good player, like he is going to be a trade piece simply for the contract, and because he's in this middle ground of like, you're not untouchable, you're not a young guy, and we're not trying to win championship right now. So all of those things kind of go together where two things can be true at the same time.
Correct.
His shooting could be super important for the team. He could be massively important to getting the team off to a good start, and then there might be a deal that comes its way where, hey, maybe we could trade you for a big man shooter who's a little bit younger, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, and like you said, none of this means that Grayson is off limits, but I do think people that are just like, trade him for whatever, don't be in that boat, because you need his three-point shooting. A lot of people talk about, he regressed last year, he had a bad season. He still shot nearly 43% from three on like 5 or 6 attempts per game, and that was coming off the bench. Like, he's a good bench piece. He needs to finish better at the rim than he did last year because he regressed there. He needs to be better defensively, but so does the whole team compared to last year. And he's important going back to what we talked about with the Devin Booker double teams, because if we're going to say, Book needs to be a little bit more selfish, maybe not make the right play every single time, be more aggressive in turning the corner on doubles, having a guy like Grayson as an outlet is one of those players that if he is going to be unselfish and make the right play, Grayson is someone that can reward him for doing that, because he's one of the knockdown shooters who's going to be in that weak side corner that Book can hit, or who's going to be on the opposite side of the floor where the ball swings around when Book gets off the ball when he's doubled. So I think in the past, Book has had teams where it makes sense to make the unselfish play. This year, he's got to be a little bit more selfish, but having guys like Grayson can be a big release valve for him in those scenarios.
Yeah, and beyond the shooting, there are Grayson Allen's defense took a little bit of a step back last year. It's going to be interesting to see what his weight is coming into this season, whether it's, okay, we got to slim you down, or, hey, we still need a bigger forward. Like, we'll have you kind of keep that weight, and now you got a second year playing with it. Or maybe the weight has nothing to do with how we played at all. And sometimes shooters just have a down year. And historically speaking, Grayson Allen and Mike Budenholzer, that's not been the best mesh for Grayson Allen throughout his career in Milwaukee. He wasn't getting the same type of stuff. And it's kind of ironic that his best season came under Frank Vogel, who's not even an offensive head coach.
Defensive-minded.
So that's definitely going to be interesting. Although, like, Grayson Allen shooting, sure. Dillon Brooks shooting, sure. The reality is, once we hit Devin Booker, the eyes right next are going to go to Jalen Green.
Yes, they are. And we should mention this one last thing before we transition to Green. If you look at the shooting that they lost last year, it's pretty significant. They were 12th in attempts, 3rd in three-point percentage. They lost Kevin Durant, 43% on 6 attempts. Bradley Beal, 39% on 5 attempts. Tyus Jones, 41% on 5 attempts. People are going to say what they will say about those 3 guys, and trust me, they already have. But you lost a lot of shooting and a lot of volume out of those guys and replaced it with guys that we have question marks about, Jalen Green being one of those question marks.
Yeah, and we mentioned when we talk about like the biggest questions or whatever for the Suns going into the season is like, can this team shoot?
Yes.
Right. And that is a big one. And can the shots for Jalen Green be better as far as his shot selection goes? Unpopular opinion number 5 here. Listen, I am higher on the Jalen Green acquisition than I was when it first happened. Mm-hmm. That being said, there is a reality here where Jalen Green might not be poised for a massive improvement, right? Sometimes things make sense in theory. Oh, Jalen Green's playing with a better offensive engine next to Devin Booker. Jalen Green's going to be playing with a better offensive head coach in Jordan Not. Jalen Green's getting older. He's really young. He's going to be 24, 25 years old. These are all things that would lead you to think he's going to take a pretty big step offensively this year. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there is certainly a reality where Jalen Green just is who Jalen Green is. He's basically been the same guy that he was when he walked into the league. He has not made any significant, massive improvements. He's gotten a little bit better passing. He's had some flashes as far as playmaking and defense go, especially when the Rockets went on that run a couple of years ago to just miss the play-in. But essentially, he's been the same. So an unpopular opinion is Jalen Green might just be who Jalen Green is and who we've seen him be, and that would be tough for this team.
That's my biggest question in regard to Green is, was it a matter of context and what the Houston Rockets offense needed him to do because they didn't really have that type of firepower or that central engine that Phoenix has in a Devin Booker? Or is that just kind of who he is in terms of how he approaches the game? We've showed you this shot creator stat graphic before. Jalen Green is an elite player when it comes to creating his own shots. But if you look at the colors on this stat graphic, the red ones are bad in terms of the shot making and the shot efficiency of these shots. Like overall 14th percentile, at the rim 9th percentile, in the paint 9th percentile, mid-range 5th percentile, pull-ups 4th percentile, three-point pull-ups 8th percentile. Like, look at the very top in terms of the shot creation. Those green across the board, 90th percentile and higher. This guy can get his own shot off, which is a skill in the NBA, but he's going to have to be a lot more efficient than he was in Houston last year. And for me, the only relationship that's more important than Jalen Green and Devin Booker is Jalen Green and Jordan Not in terms of how he gets him to approach the game, how he gets him to see the floor, and what kind of role he envisions for him. Because you don't want to completely change a guy's game. That's never going to work out, but you have to be able to kind of sharpen them and point them in the right direction a little bit.
Here's an idea. What if first day that they meet each other, Jordan Not goes to Jalen Green and says, I need you to be the Drew Holiday of this team? Do we think that would work?
I don't think it would work. I don't think it would go over well.
Interesting.
It'd probably go over better than
I heard great coaches do that.
Yeah.
Great coaches go to their players and be like, have you ever thought about completely changing who you are? Highest paid player on the team. Yeah, I do expect Jalen Green to be better, and I want to put that out there, but things aren't linear, right? And usually by now, if it was linear, Jalen Green would have taken some pretty big leaps over the last couple of years, since he's played 4 seasons in the NBA, as an extremely high pick, and at one point touted as the best young player in the world when he was in high school. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. This is a big year and test for the rest of his career.
Sure.
We got 2 more unpopular opinions and an interview with G League head coach Paul Jesperson. We're going to get to all of that right after our first break. I love it when my job is easy. Yesterday, my job was easy. Obviously, a lot of, prep for the interview, but just talking basketball, Nigel Hayes-Davis, easy. Reading an ad for Zen Leaf Dispensary when they want to give you 50% off weed? Where's the button? That was easy. Listen, whether you're gearing up for game day, winding down after a hike up Camelback, or indulging in your favorite PHNX Suns podcast, that's this one. Zen Leaf is your go-to spot for cannabis, flowers, vapes, edibles, and more from all the brands that you trust, with locations across the valley in Chandler, Gilbert, North Phoenix, and more. It's easy to swing by before tip-off. It's easy to go by after work. It's easy to get 50% off when you use a limited time promo code. Again, limited time promo code ZENPHNX gets you 50% off a one-time purchase at all 8 of their locations in the valley. Zen Leaf, great weed, great service every single time. Every single time I've been to Chicken and Pickle, well, quite frankly, I've enjoyed it. And I'm not like the biggest pickleball guy, but it is pretty fun. I definitely became a bigger pickleball guy after we got to go play at the indoor courts at Chicken and Pickle. But I got to tell you, the main attraction for me is the food. And you think, oh, it's just chicken, Eric. Oh, they probably just have a pickle menu. No, they got everything. I believe we had like ribs, big quesadillas. Yeah. We had burgers. We had wings. We had fries.
Fried pickles.
I forget. I remember we went there for a trivia thing, and I think I housed something in like 5 seconds right next. It was so good. Plus a full bar as well. A bunch of TVs, indoor and outdoor games. If you're going on a date, watching a game, having a fun night out with your family, they're always serving up good times on the court and great food in the restaurant at Chicken and Pickle, 9330 West Hannah Lane in Glendale, located in Westgate. It's family friendly, fun, and it's waiting for you. Visit chickenandpickle.com to plan your visit today. That's chickenandpickle.com. Also on the west side out in Glendale in just 2 days, it is the Rally House live show for the PHNX Cardinals. Catch Joe and Bonnie, a.k.a. Bo, and Johnny out there at Rally House. Are giving away 5 $50 gift cards to those who are in attendance to Rally House. So gear up over there. It's the best combo in sports. It's Rally House and PHNX Cardinals. I mean, I guess best combo besides what we got going on here on PHNX Suns. Leo is right. There's 14 days until we get to Media Day. So let's get the negativity out of the way right now. Unpopular opinion number 6, Gerald.
Yeah, we've got this one hurts because we both believe that he'll be, I think all three of us, if you include Steven, believe he will carve out a rotation spot, but it's not guaranteed that Oso Ighodaro will be in the rotation.
Absolutely not.
You look at how much competition there is at the 4 and at the 5. You look at the fact that, yes, to some degree, the lack of a jump shot is going to hold him back compared to some other players, especially at the 4 spot. It's not guaranteed that he will carve out a roster spot. I do think he will. I think if you hear the way that Brian Gregory and Jordan Ott have spoken about him, at least to start the season, they believe he will be part of that rotation because of the switchability, the front court playmaking, the screen setting, the athleticism, being able to rebound and go play with pace, all that stuff that they prioritize. I think he'll find a way. But it's not guaranteed if the shooting becomes a problem based on who he's sharing the front court with.
And part of it is also like at his position, if he's going to play true center, which is it's tough for him not to with, yes, the lack of his offensive game. You've got 3 other guys. You got Mark Williams. You got Nick Richards, who did play last year. You got Kamal Malawach, who's the number 10 pick in this year's draft, right? And sure, Mark Williams might be injured. I think it's likely to assume he's not going to play all 82 games. But it's not like it's guaranteed that he's not going to play over half of them, right? Nick Richards is a serviceable backup center, right? Kamal Malawach will get run on this team. He was the number 10 overall pick. How much? You don't know. Oso, I think, is somebody this team has invested in. They're putting him out there on the media tour, with whether it was Sons of Mercury night at the Diamondbacks, right? Or just, talking to people. Obviously, he was heavily featured in Summer League against some lower competition as well. The reality is, though, like, he does have some pretty discernible weaknesses. And if those are not weaknesses that can be countered by some of the other players that are on this roster, like it might not be a his fault type of thing. It might just be, man, if we had a stretch 5 or if Rasheer Fleming was ready to play now, maybe we'd have more opportunity for you. But I think his ball handling, I think his passing, I think his athleticism, those are things that I believe are at least going to give him a shot. And defensively, his metrics were good last year. Like he is a good defender around the rim and is uber athletic.
Yeah, and I think so. I think those things will carve out a niche for him. Like I said a few shows ago when we talked about this, my biggest concern is not that Oso doesn't have a jump shot. It's unrealistic to expect him to just develop that over the course of one summer. My biggest concern is that they don't have a floor spacing 5 to kind of balance that out if they are going to play him at the 4, which kind of bleeds into our next one, because if you think that Oso is going to get minutes, one thing that would help in that regard, but maybe not help the Suns in general, is the fact that Mark Williams' health is always kind of up in the air. So the Mark Williams trade could put the Suns in an uncomfortable position. Yeah,
because you invested in him. You also have his bird rights. You have the ability to offer him a contract this offseason, and you also drafted Kamal Malawach top 10. Like, it's going to be a lot of wait and see, and even if he has a really great season, it's like, okay, can you do that again? Can you be healthy again? I think that is a pretty clear, uncomfortable situation. I think that's maybe one of the unpopular opinions that maybe most people share. I guess not most, but like a lot more people share that we've talked about today, because I do know that there are some people who are pretty anti Mark Williams, or Mark Williams trade, not him as a player or a person. Let us know what you think is the biggest unpopular opinion for the Phoenix Suns this upcoming season. Something that is not unpopular, in fact, for us is very popular, is the fact that we have the Valley Suns here back in the G League. Year 2 for them out at Mullet. Gerald, you and Steven were able to catch up with head coach Paul Jesperson yesterday. Super excited to share this conversation with everybody. So let's just jump right into it.
Welcoming in the new coach of the Valley Suns, Coach Paul Jesperson. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Coach, you've got open tryouts coming up for the Valley Suns, so just wanted to pick your brain. What are you most excited about or looking forward to when it comes to these open tryouts?
Yeah, first off, I guess to touch on last year, we had a great turnout with those guys. Everybody was in there. They competed, shared the ball, communicated, all the things you want as a coach to see. So it was very exciting to get that many people to show up last year, and we're hoping to follow that up in year 2.
Coach, I'm curious from someone that's newly stepping into this role with the G League team, looking at everything that Jordan Nada is hoping to establish as far as principles, and obviously wanting to work off of that with the team that you're kind of operating with. How much creativity as a coach are you kind of enabled or allowed when you're working to construct the team that you'll be coaching?
Yeah, we're definitely going to have minor adjustments and kind of our spin on certain things, but you're completely right. We want to be 100% aligned with Coach Odd and what he's trying to install with the Suns, so that when we have some of these assignment guys in 2 ways come down and play with us, that it's a seamless transition for them. So we want to make sure we're speaking the same language with terminology, playing out of the same type of actions, and have a lot of the same teaching points that Coach Odd is using up with the Suns.
Coach, as a former player and someone who's made multiple coaching stops in your career as well, Atlanta, Oklahoma, what do you feel that you've taken from your stops in your coaching journey to get to this point?
Oof, that's a loaded question. I've taken a little bit from everybody. I've had the privilege of working for 3 head coaches while I was in Atlanta. Lloyd Pierce brought me in, gave me my first start. Was there for the transition with Nate McMillan and Quinn Snyder as well. So took bits and pieces from all 3 of those guys, and then same with my stop in Oklahoma. Took pieces from Porter as well. So both on the court and off the court things, different techniques that they've used for practice structure, different things they've used for teaching points. So without getting too much in depth with it, because I know we only got 10 to 15 minutes, but definitely took a little bit from all of those guys.
And kind of looking at your coaching experience, having experience at so many different levels, how have you seen the G League evolve from what was the D League and having a different set of, I guess, opportunities that could be extended to players to now what it's evolved into is something that what was kind of frowned upon by the outsiders looking in, now seeing it as an opportunity for players to truly grow and especially being aligned with what a big league team is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing about basketball in general, but specifically the G League is first and foremost, it's a developmental league, right? So you got guys from all walks of life. You've got guys who are rookies. You have guys who maybe have had short stops in the NBA and it just didn't pan out, so they're trying to find their way. You can have high-level European players who are like, hey, I'm going to give it one more chance and try to get a call-up, try to get a E10 the next year or a two-way. So I think that's the beauty of it. And then from the team side of it, you've seen it before, previous head coaches, Coach Finch talks about it all the time of how his time as a head coach in the G League was very experimental. Houston, obviously a very analytically driven organization. So all of these guys who have been success stories in the G League and it's worked out for them at the NBA level have used it as a tool to experiment, and hopefully some of those things can carry on into the NBA as well.
Coach, obviously you were on John Little's staff last year with the Valley Suns and now getting this promotion to head coach. What do you feel like you took from year 1 in the G League? Because obviously you've been around coaching and as a player, basketball is basketball, but that 1 year in the G League, especially now with having to adjust to, well, this guy's on our roster tonight, but he might not be on our roster 2 nights from now. What do you feel like you took from that experience?
Oof. That piece is a huge piece. Just the ever evolving, ever changing roster that you see kind of evolving from not only us. I mean, that happens across the board. So, you might watch 3, 4, 5 games leading up to the time that you're going to play that specific team, and they have a completely different roster show up. So I think there's that side of it. And that's probably the biggest side. And then there's also some of the style of play things, right? Like the G League in general is just a faster paced league. So there's more possessions in a game, obviously different rules with overtime, with the Elam ending and all those things. So to have last year as a resource to be in those experiences and experience them first and foremost, basically just from the sideline. I mean, I think that gave me a big one up going into this second season as a head coach.
Coach, I want to play a quick game with you. We're gonna go start, sub, and sit. So looking at pick and rolls, you can kind of give a short answer as to why you want to align them the way that you want to. But between these three, we go pick and roll location, angles of screens, and the respacing around the pick and roll. How would you kind of structure those three in terms of maybe what's easiest to teach or what you maybe prioritize in terms of when you're developing that element of your offense?
Yeah, I guess without asking too many side questions off the question, I would probably just start with middle pick and roll. I mean, end of game, I immediately think of, crunch time of the fourth quarter of a close game, ball in the middle of the floor with hopefully your best 2 or 3 players in action. Respacing around the pick and roll or after the pick and roll is an interesting one because you're always talking about floor balance in general. Usually that's to begin possessions, but after action occurs, yes, it's extremely important to rebalance the floor, to give guys passing outlets, to obviously open up future driving angles, all that stuff. So I'd probably put that as sub. And then what was the last one again?
And then the last one was pick and roll angles.
Can I do 2 subs?
For sure, yeah, we can freestyle it.
There we go. All right, well, I got 2 subs then, because pick and roll angles, screening angles are everything, right? You constantly want to create advantages as early in the clock as you can. So those screening angles are utterly important. You want to force overs as much as you can so that you get those advantages created. And now the decision-making aspect of the game comes in, whether you're scoring, shooting, hitting the roller, hitting the shake. So I'm going to have a starter and I'm going to have 2 subs. We're not sitting anybody.
Sounds good to me.
Love it. I love hearing those types of breakdowns. We're labeled as the 2 nerds on our podcast, so it's always nice when we get to talk X's and O's. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about some of the guys that you were able to work around last year and this upcoming season as well. When you talk about John Little, obviously getting the bump up to Jordan Ott's assistant coaching staff, how would you describe him as a coach for those who were not as familiar with the Valley Suns and how they kind of operated last year?
Yeah, very passionate coach, very well prepared. And I think that's what you guys saw last year with our team in general is I felt like every night we went out, we were very prepared, both offensively and defensively, of how we wanted to play, what we were trying to execute. And I think that's why you saw some of the success in year one that you saw. But yeah, I can't speak enough about Jay Litt. He's well deserving of this opportunity. Like I said, super passionate coach, super well prepared. And really takes pride in the little details of everything. It's not just an offensive coach, defensive coach, player development coach. He's well-rounded and well-versed in all 3 of those aspects.
Coach, when looking at the G League level and everything like we spoke to earlier, wanting to align with the professional level, defensively, how do you kind of envision your team playing? Maybe it'd be exactly copy and paste to the way that the Suns might be playing, or maybe a little bit of a spinoff. But what is kind of your general assessment of how your defense is going to look?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we want to be completely aligned with what Coach Ott and his staff are teaching with the Suns. So we're going to do our absolute best to replicate that and make that transition for those guys who are coming down to be very seamless. We want to be able to basically plug them into a game if they don't have an opportunity to practice with us the day before a game, that they should be able to show up, play the game. The calls are the same. The coverages are the same, and now it's just the execution phase comes in. I'm sure there'll be some differences, right, with how we do some matchups strategically and adjust to certain things that maybe we see down here that they don't see at the same level up there, and vice versa. So there'll definitely be some twists when it comes to that type of stuff, but the main principles of play will stay in place.
And to your point about it being trying to make it as seamless as possible between the two teams, one guy last year that has made it look seamless from G League to NBA throughout his career, Colin Gillespie. I know he was only with you guys for 12 or 13 games, whatever it was, but what did you see from him and the way that he was able to capitalize on an opportunity to earn a standard contract with the Suns?
Yeah, Colin obviously has proven that for multiple years now at the G League level. And honestly, he's done it in small segments of NBA settings as well. So he's extremely work oriented, extremely professional. Like, you never had to worry about Colin being out for a pre-practice time or staying after to get extra work in. He was very diligent with that. So it's no surprise that he found the success he had last year and got rewarded with that contract.
Coach, I don't know if you're privy to this, but when the Suns drafted Kobe Bryant, there were a ton of Suns fans, supporters of ours, that were immediately making the Devin Booker comparisons. And I mean, to their point, the undeniable part of it, he has very similar movement patterns, a very similar pace of play, especially to early Devin Booker. When you look at Kobe and you look at what his career projections could be, what's the type of player that you're looking for, or that you're anticipating, looking forward to coaching this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think for Kobe, myself specifically, I just want Kobe to be present every day and just fall in love with getting better every single day. And, I think the Phoenix Suns, first and foremost, do a great job of communicating what they're looking for out of guys. But myself and my staff will be the same way, and those goals will mirror each other. So just making sure that we approach every day with optimism and we come in here with a work first mentality and we just chip away at it. And I think if Kobe approaches it like that this year, I think from game one to however many games he plays in the G League, you guys will see a lot of growth. We'll obviously monitor that stuff internally, but you guys will be able to see the growth on both sides of the basketball, not just offensively. I think he's got more than he's maybe shown defensively. He just needs to buy into that a little bit more, and Kobe is all for that. He wants to be coached. He wants to get better. So I don't think there'll be any issues with a pretty rapid growth for him, I think.
Going from rookie to one of the more experienced players that is likely to be on the roster at some point this season, Isaiah Livers. What's it like to get a guy who's been in the league, who, said he didn't really feel healthy and now is fully healthy, kind of have a little bit of that stability with a guy who has that type of experience on your roster?
Yeah, that's going to help a ton. Obviously, I was joking around with Isaiah the other day when I was with Atlanta. I think he hit 4 or 5 threes on us, and I think they actually beat us that game because he came in and did that. So for him to have those experiences, though, and now come back as a little bit older guy, a little bit more mature, he can rely on some of those things. So now when we're in some of these tight game situations, he'll probably have a calmer presence to him. And my hope is that Isaiah pours into the rest of the guys on our staff, because those experiences are invaluable, and guys gravitate towards those. They want to obviously be in those situations one day themselves. So my hope is that he comes down here and he pours into these guys, and I think he will. He's a great person on and off the court, and really values the relationship side of things.
Coach, with your skill development background and having spent time intentional with that, with multiple levels of players, can you kind of give a little insight as to what that looks like? Because I think for some people, like some fans or some supporters, kind of see it as, okay, if you're drilling something for a couple of months, you should already be seeing results, where sometimes it takes a season or two for things to really start to show themselves to be habitual in someone's game, and you really start to see those benefits. So can you just kind of speak to that particular process and what that looks like for players in this current era?
Yeah, absolutely. I think very broadly speaking here, it starts with relaying what that improvement looks like, right? So having some goals for those guys, both short and long-term goals, and telling those guys, this is what it looks like. This is kind of where we see you growing initially, and understanding that they're either going to hit those or not hit those during certain targets of the season, and that's fine either way. But just being very clear about what that looks like, and then being very persistent of targeting those things. And the season is long, so a lot of the stuff gets very repetitive and mundane for these guys. So there has to be a level of creativity that you bring as a coach as well, where you maybe dress it up a little bit different, but you're still trying to hit the same things that they need to ultimately do to get them on the floor with the Suns.
Last one I had for you, Coach, is a bit of a two-parter. What are you most excited about this next step in your coaching journey, becoming the head coach of the Valley Suns for this upcoming season, year 2 of the program's existence? And part 2, have you showed any of the guys your tape from that game winner you hit against Texas?
First part, I think I'm just excited to be a head coach. These are things that you work for your entire life, and all these experiences that you put yourself in as a coach, you kind of have I don't want to say a stepping stone, but you kind of have targets you want to hit. And one of these head coaching opportunities in the G League was definitely one of my things I wanted to accomplish. And to do it in Phoenix for the Suns is kind of like a dream come true in a sense. The second part of the question was what again?
Have you showed the guys the tape of your game winner against Texas?
No, we're going to keep that one in the archives. We're going to hold that one tight. I'm sure at some point it'll get brought up around March when it starts popping up on Instagram feeds. But we're going to keep that one hidden until somebody addresses it.
My last one for you, Coach. We appreciate your time again. What's a goal that you have for yourself as a coach in this new opportunity, working in tandem with the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I think the biggest goal for myself is you feel a level of responsibility for these guys' careers, right? Like these players are entrusting you and your staff that you're going to put them in a position daily and obviously in game settings that they can play to their strengths and ultimately progress in their careers. So I think that's the biggest thing that I take pride in year one is showing up extremely prepared, making sure that my staff is extremely prepared, that we're all on the same page, that we're speaking the same stuff that the Suns are trying to accomplish. And then ultimately these guys, all of them, not just the two ways, the assignments, but everybody takes a step in their careers so that hopefully the next season, whether it's an overseas deal, a E10, a possible two-way, an assignment, that those guys are in a better place than when they came here to start this year. That's our ultimate goal, I think, as coaches, is to see players reach their dreams. So that's the biggest thing I think I'm taking pride in year one as a head coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Coach. This is Coach Paul Jesperson. Valley Suns open tryouts are this Saturday, so make sure to keep an eye out for our coverage on that. Thank you so much for your time, Coach. Good luck on Saturday and for the upcoming season.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
Yeah, ironically, I wasn't there because it felt like it would give me an unfair advantage if I showed up or when I show up on Saturday to try out for the team. They didn't want me to get in with Coach Jesperson beforehand.
Sure.
Great conversation. If you missed it, highly recommend going back and watching the entirety of that. We're going to react to something stupid that Adam Silver had to say, and we're going to do it after our final break. Something not stupid, however, well, that would be our friends over at Rally House. It is just who I am. I bleed all of these Arizona teams. I just do. I wear Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Mercury, Suns, like Sun Devils, every single possible type of merch. I'm wearing it all the time, even when I'm not on air, even when I'm not on a camera. Listen, they are the best place to go in person, whether it's Tempe, Mesa, or Glendale, to look over their hundreds and hundreds of options of all of these sporting teams. So they also have www.rallyhouse.com, where you can get hundreds of pages of all local sports options here in the Valley. Beyond just clothes, drinkware, signage, coolers, socks, even sunscreen. They've got it all at Rally House. And make sure you stop by the Glendale location in just 2 days at 4:30 for the PHNX Cardinals live show. So find your local Rally House location. Shop their entire product assortment online at www.rallyhouse.com today. And of course, if you're spending money, well, you need a place to keep your money, and that's where Mountain America Credit Union comes into play, the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns, which means it is the only place that you can get the Suns card. Available as both a debit and a credit card as well. Pair the Suns debit card with My Style Checking to unlock all these extra benefits that we've been telling you about here on PHNX, like telehealth access, loan rate discounts, offers for travel and event, and so much more, including mobile phone protection. They also have no annual fee credit cards that are available as low rate, cashback, or rewards card options, and they're here to help guide you forward in your financial journey. They don't want to just leave you be and out in the wild, wild west of finances. They're going to be there for you. You can apply for any of these cards at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans are on approved credit. But check out Mountain America Credit Union today. Big shout out to Ashley, Good If It Goes, Freckled Mamba, BS Murray, Miss Nisha, Colin, Lucas, Leo, Sean, Richard, BS, Ted. Man, so many of the stars out here and our friends in chat today. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Gerald. Adam Silver.
Yep.
Said that it is okay that certain fans are getting priced out of streaming services to watch NBA games because, and I quote, the NBA is a highlight league.
Yeah.
This is the commissioner of the National Basketball Association diminishing the entirety of his product. I cannot believe how stupid that was.
Yeah. Like it comes off as very condescending and out of touch. It comes off as very ignorant of the fact that you have a product that people want to watch. And like, yeah, a lot of people consume the NBA through, illegal streams or through just highlights. But when you look at all the different networks and packages and streaming apps that you have to have just to watch your team play, and you look at the trash product that League Pass has been for years in terms of some people not being able to even watch their team in their own market based on the way that those dividing lines are drawn, like it was really bad. It was an embarrassing comment, and one that I hope that he wishes he could take back, because it's just so out of touch, and it's so like, well, you can't watch the full game, but just go watch the highlights on Twitter. Like, what are you doing to your own product?
You are diminishing your own players as well. And like, it makes sense with how the NBA has been packaged recently. Like, this is the LaMelo ballification of the sweet, sweet NBA that we've all grown to love. It's honestly pathetic, because again, like, you need to be a steward for the game. It really shouldn't be that hard to say we have an awesome product and we're working our hardest to get it in front of as many people as possible. That's all he had to say, even if it is kind of BS, right? Because of all the streaming services. You don't need to be like, actually, it's fine. It's okay.
Right.
Just go watch the highlights of this game. Guess what? You don't get the numbers if somebody just watches the highlights of the NBA Finals. Right. And there was another thing that we'll mention real quick, but I want to remind everybody who is watching on TV that the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com. It's time for overtime. And again, over on GoPHNX.com, you can find Gerald's article on a couple more unpopular opinions we did not cover today, but that is for diehards only. Clearly, Adam Silver, not a diehard.
Not a diehard, not at all. If you're a TV partner and the NBA just reached this brand new TV deal and you hear the commissioner of the league saying, don't worry about watching it, you can just go watch the highlights. I'm sitting there like, what are we giving you this billions of dollars for if that's how you're treating this partnership?
Right, you're doing yourself a disservice by driving people away from these live broadcasts. Where are all the ads? The live broadcasts, right? Where's the big TV deals where we talked about Peacock, NBC, Amazon, TNT, these streaming services, ESPN? That's where your money is. Sure, you're going to get some YouTube ad revenue from the millions of views that you do off of the good game highlights or whatever, but like, that's not what keeps the NBA going, man. Sure, maybe that's somebody's introduction, the top 10 plays of the night, the highlights of the game if you missed one. There are a lot of people who need that to keep up with the league because they don't have time to sit down and watch the game. That can be true. At the same time, it could be, hey, let's not crap on the entire product.
Yeah, it's really dumb. And then I understand they're making all of their money through all these different, negotiations and TV deals and streaming deals that they've worked out. But like, it's going to be like they posted the schedule of days of the week by national streamer for where you can watch NBA games. And it's like it's so confusing, the map that they laid out, like in terms of when it's on NBC, when it's on Amazon, when it's on this and that and this. Hey,
highlights are on YouTube, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the NBA Twitter account.
No, there you go.
Don't worry. At least we have great products like ESPN to break it all down.
Yeah, that too. Just say follow just follow at NBA on Twitter if that's what your goal is. Like, just say that.
Yeah,
dumb.
I just don't get it.
Real dumb.
One last thing, and NBA wise, how do we feel about full court heaves and whatnot not counting towards field goal percentage?
I love it, man. I don't understand the discourse around this. It's been predictably dumb. I've seen people. Yeah, I've seen people say the NBA is rewarding cowardice for guys who prioritize their own field goal percentage over taking shots at the buzzer for the good of the, like, give me a break. This is going to give us 2 to 3 more heaves per game, and that leads to more exciting plays. Like, we don't have to make this some grandstanding bigger issue. It's a good rule change. It makes sense. It will encourage guys to shoot more. Whether you want to comment on a generational difference between players now and players in the 80s and 90s, I'm not interested in that conversation at all. Like, give us more fun stuff. That's all I care about.
It's really not going to be that big of a deal. Plus, like, there are some guys who have certain shooting percentage incentives, especially some of these younger guys where it's like you might get $500,000 if you shoot over, 38% from three. Mm-hmm. And if you miss a couple full court heaves and you're at 37.8%, they're not just going to give you the $500,000, right? Like, you're going to just kind of take that little bit of a layer away, but it's not going to make everybody shoot full court shots. And that is all that I will say about that. We appreciate everybody tuning in here on a Wednesday. Steven is off for a little bit here, so it's going to be us holding it down, but I will be off tomorrow as well, which means, oh no, Gerald. Uh-oh.
What am I going to do?
What are you going to do?
We'll see.
I think there's going to be a pretty fun answer to that. You're all going to want to be here tomorrow for another Thursday edition of PHNX Suns. I will then be back on Friday, as I always will be. And we are getting closer, just 14 days away from Media Day. There's no better place to get your Phoenix Suns coverage than right here on PHNX Suns, whether it's player interviews like Nigel Hayes Davis, whether it's player breakdowns, film sessions, articles, trending mini pods, live shows. Nobody has you covered like PHNX Suns has you covered. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, 5-star reviews, and become a member today to spam emojis in the chat and get a nice badge of honor next to your name. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter and on Instagram as well. We appreciate the Freckled Mamba, aka Juice Man, aka Old Mangled Toes, aka Please Drop 30 tonight. Behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. I'll see you Friday. He'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.